This is the most spread out, the committees, because everybody's on the far end. Usually we can like squeeze on one side. Ted's like, I'm not getting up. I like my spot. I was talking about how spread out we are for our little committee.
Not a problem for any of us, just you. You're
Is Chief Rao coming? Do we know? Thought he was?
They were finishing up an interview for one of the detective spots.
That's not first anyway, so we should be all right. Well, he has two things actually, but only one of them's on here. Is it 4? All right. All committee members are present, so we will call this Parks and Rec meeting to order Thursday, November 20th, 4 p.m. First item on the agenda of many is theater improvements. Would you like to come up and talk about them, or not to put you on the spot?
Matt, do you want to get it rolling?
There we go, yes. I defer to the experts, yes.
I can clarify specific needs.
Sure. So, we did our walkthrough at the theater. Was that the last Parks and Rec meeting?
I believe that was last.
Yeah. And Sarah did a very good job of kind of, I guess, explaining some of the deficiencies that the theater currently has and some of the needs that it needs. So we have been working on creating an RFP to get proposals from different firms to kind of help us through the process of like a renovation slash restoration of the theater. I'm hoping to kind of get that posted here soon. The goal was going to be tomorrow, so I'm still hopeful that I can do that, but it'll really kind of cover all the different aspects that the theater needs. It's something that we're looking at spreading out over, a few year span. I don't know if there's any specifics you want to go into on it. And
No, I think Sarah did a great job last meeting of, showing us all, not only telling us, but showing us, like, it's obviously a very old building, and with that comes lots of work. And it's starting to pile up, so we want to make sure we try to stay ahead of it and don't let the pile get any bigger. You have anything on theater? Anyone else? So we will await that RFP and I guess move from there, right? Correct?
yep.
All right, well, that was an easy one. Unless you have anything you want to add.
Is Sarah here?
Sarah's right, yep.
Thank you for the tour whatever it was, a couple months ago. Very informative. I saw a lot of things I hadn't realized that are going on at the theater. So thank you, Sarah. You're doing a good job over there. Or somebody is.
All right, well, we do have a lot, like I said, and we're going to get kicked out of the room at 5, so we're going to keep the ball rolling as long as, maybe we'll stay late then. Next on the list is Epstein Park, which I know has been a hot topic. And I know that, I believe we passed, well, in the last budget, we had a large amount set aside for that. And, after discussion and feedback, I think a lot of the agreement is that even though something does need to be done to that park, a grand scale of what was proposed may be a little excessive. I believe it's improving the pathway through there, potentially some lighting, the parking lot, and some food truck hookups in the parking lot area, if I am correct.
Yeah.
stone path, correct? Is that the thought?
That's the thought for now, yeah.
Okay.
At least everything inside the wooded area.
Right. Because I know our office is right over there. I literally can walk out the front door into the park. And if it rains, it gets flooded. It's a muddy mess. So I think a stone path, is a great addition to make it usable more often than not, because when it floods, you can't get through. It's impassable in certain parts. And I know Chief Sproul has asked that, the path is in there so that the police can get back in there if needed as well. So it's also a safety issue, not only a park issue. Is there anything else on Epstein Park? Yes, you have to come up to the microphone now. Everyone else can shout, but we're going to make you walk.
Hi, I'm Margot from West Harrison. So my question is, when we went out there before and we cleared out like invasives, so most notably buckthorn, a lot of times if you don't put something in, like kind of in place of that, it'll just keep coming back. And I don't remember whether we did any spot treatment of like herbicide or whatever, chemical when we did that. I don't think we did.
I don't.
So I guess one of the things is we need to be mindful, because even though we got that vegetation out, I mean, granted, that's so thick, it will allow more natives to come, but the invasive is such fast growing that I just want to make sure we're keeping an eye on that. And, we could kind of help it along if we put some larger natives in to kind of maybe keep that from surpassing the natives that are coming up out of the ground first, because they're slower growing, and buckthorn just lets no light in or anything. But so I just wanted to say something about that. And any the invasive trees that I think might have been removed too, like if planting a tree or two back there made sense, just the same reason. But goats, they love poison ivy.
We have to, I understand we need some herbicide, weed killers in there, which makes sense, but we also need some more natives. We figure out how to balance those two. We don't want to kill off the good stuff.
Well, so what I was saying, and I'm quite certain we did not use it, because you have to put it on right after you cut it, like paint it on after you cut it. So, and I don't know what it looks like now. It's been a bit of time since we did that, and that stuff grows back fast. So, I mean, it might be a matter of needing to go back. Maybe something gets cut more, some gets painted on the stumps, and then we can just get some a little bit larger natives going to help with the others that will probably come up too, now that those have been taken care of, because usually it's like there's dormant natives in there that the invasives just won't let come up through.
I was in there 2 weeks ago.
I haven't been back since we were there.
And I don't think there's a lot sprouting up, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some smaller ones.
Yeah.
Is that the same stuff they paint on the?
I don't
It's
know.
probably all different, isn't it? You're the,
Well, the tree of heaven,
Yeah.
I think that might be something more specific. And I think that has to be, you have to use something really concentrated for the poison hemlock or,
right.
so I don't know. I don't like to touch the stuff, so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But, all right, thanks.
Thank you. If there's nothing else on that, we can move on to Library Park, which it was a hot topic, last year, 2 years ago? It's been a while, yes. It's been talked about for a while. We had a design, again, got feedback on that design. Some people didn't like the scale of it, didn't like that the green space was being reduced. And we still want to do something there, but now we also were supposed to get some federal funding as well, and that got pulled out from under us. So kind of went back to square one with that, and so we're going to restart those talks, figure out ways to get grants. We can probably do a survey like we did for Ford and work on that, go back through a design process, make sure that it's both an accessible park, but also doesn't completely engulf the entire land area, because, yeah, as the neighbors told us, kids still do use that for soccer, baseball, and other activities. So trying to find a way to make the best of both worlds, essentially. And Abby from the police department has been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, looking into ways to fund it, and she actually just sent me a whole phase list of how to go. I meant to send it to get printed out for here, but if you wanted to come and speak at all about it, kind of tell us where you are at with it, and kind of what you've done, just to enlighten everybody who's here. Yes, please. That way they can hear you at home as well.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Abby. I'm the Prevention Outreach Coordinator at the Police Division. I also have, hi boss. I also have a 4-year-old with Down syndrome. So a lot of my conversations have been with a lot of community partners and providers about an inclusive playground in our area. We don't have one in the city. We are one of the only ones in the area who actually do not have one. We have inclusive pieces to a lot of our area playgrounds and the schools, which has been, I'm glad to see that, that we're taking shape with that. I've been in contact with Wood County Plays, which is one of the ones who have done Carter Park and Bowling Green. They've done Perrysburg Rotary Park. But we actually have a lot of interest just here in Maumee in our community with community partners that want to see this come to a reality and help with fundraising and make this, great equipment can cost anywhere from $400,000 to $800,000. And I definitely don't think that that should be a burden on the city or its residents. But I think throughout fundraising campaigns with the community providers that I've talked to, I think this is definitely something a reality. Fundraising can take anywhere from 18 months to 2 years. So, this conversation a few years ago, by now, if we were to really think about timelines, we could have already had this kind of underway and almost built at this point. So I think a steering committee would be a great idea, or a steering group. Ryan has agreed to be on it, and several of our community leaders have agreed to be on it as well. So I think that if we were really to put our heads together on this, and if we use Library Park, I think that we could make this a great thing for our community, and still keeping in mind the neighbor wishes of utilizing the green space and be a great community spot. Any questions from anybody?
Were we thinking still with the same area where the play is now?
Yes, most likely. That'd be something that would be discussed in the process. All right.
Yeah, I have like a 75-page packet, so if anyone's interested in that, let me know and I can send it out to everybody.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Excuse me. If I remember correctly, Alan, you did create a 501c3 for donations a few years back. Is that correct?
I created the paperwork for it. I filed the LLC portion, but they never followed through with giving me the information to make it a nonprofit. So that wouldn't be too hard to redo and get restarted. So.
Right, I can help with that as well.
Okay. Perfect. The next item is towpath disc golf, which this has been a bug in my ear by Chief Sproul for 17 years now, probably, as long as I've known him. And it's finally made its way up in the schedule of the budget. So I'm going to turn it over to him to let him talk about this one, because I know nothing about disc golf.
Since I gave up my mic.
Oh,
You have it back. Thanks, Josh.
All right, so the sort of idea came about when we were doing a lot of the cleanup, all that other stuff done along the river, trying to find an area in town here for disc golf, because we really don't have anything. For people that aren't familiar with it, it's pretty much every age level from a 5, 6-year-old can go out with you. Kurt's dad's in his 80s and still plays. So, I mean, it sort of fits everyone. It's pretty low cost as far as the initial investment, but there was not a whole lot of great open space. And I know one of our residents reached out through Facebook. I think you responded as well about trying to set up just a temporary thing as an education thing about it at Rolfe Park, which the city was fine with, but there's really not a good area to set things up over there other than just a few holes. So when we're cleaning up down along the river, there's that open space between the upper and lower tow path. I went down and walked it with Joel as well, and he thought it'd be a phenomenal area for it. To understand, it's not like a normal golf course. You don't go in and just mow everything down. The whole point's the trees and everything are in your way. You play through there. Other than you would have some paths and stuff that would need some maintenance, but as much as it get played, I'm sure most of it would get wore down to where you're not going to be in there constantly. I know some of the guys over here that show interest, play disc golf all the time. If there's any questions as far as, you know, why there, why 18 holes, I know that's sort of, we talked about like tournaments and stuff. There's been some other mention of doing some smaller ones elsewhere, but I'd still rather have one that is right down where we got a lot of people that are already participating in outdoor activities. It's just a great way to get out. The cost overall, just the equipment cost wouldn't be labor of our staff and that, I think it's under 20 grand, which for a city project, that's probably one of the cheapest ones we'll see next year if we do it. Would you agree with that, Jennifer? It's pretty cheap for a city project?
It's looking that way so far, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things. I think it's just something that gets people out of their house playing. It's a great sport. And I mean, I'm not good at it by any means, but it's fun to go out and play and just get out of the house. Any questions as far as general? I know I sent some of the packet stuff to you. If anyone wants to like see what sort of the layout area would be and all of that fun stuff and the overall cost, I'll give you those. But any other general questions?
Your intention was 2 phases, right? 9 holes first, and then the other, like year 1 and year 2, right?
No, this was all 1 year.
Why was it separated out into 2 separate?
I explained it to you. It's the cost of the materials in 2025, which is now when I got. I'm expecting the cost to go up. I think I gave a 7% window.
I'm gonna have to look at that spreadsheet. I'm sorry, I misinterpreted it.
So
Okay, this isn't 2 years. This is, if we
No.
did it this year, it'd be that much.
That's
If
what the
we did
price
it
is
next
right now.
year, it'd be that much. That's what you're,
Yes.
okay.
Yep. So-
Oh, okay.
I got you
I
now.
thought it was literally like the first 9
No.
holes. Okay. Thank
that's
you.
everything. That's 18
I wonder why the picture was the
T-pads.
same.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's one
Got it.
thing, 18,000 or something, I think. for
Yeah.
26. It's easy enough. Do the experts have any comment?
No real comments. It's a great sport. The closest sports to us here in Maumee, obviously across the river, at Woodland Park in Harrisburg. There is a app where you can track your rounds and everything like that. And they also allow people to be a course ambassador for that. To set up the layout and all that. I'm actually a course ambassador for that layout. There's over 1,000 plays every month logged on the app. And they say that doesn't even count for half of the people that play at a course in a given month. So we're talking potentially close to 2,000 people that would be coming through to play a course. Great for local businesses right out in downtown or uptown. But yeah, no, it's a great sport and a great activity to get out and about.
It's very low cost to get into as far as, I mean, it's going to be more expensive than, you might spend $30.
Yeah, you can get one disc for like $10, $12. That's all you need. And you can obviously get a huge bag with a bunch of discs and all that sort of stuff too. But there is affordable to go.
All right, Isaiah Gonzalez, Northfield. I've actually played disc golf since 2005. Been a registered member of PDGA. When a lot of the courses are being developed in other communities, Parmalee up in Temperance, Vienna's been for a long time, used to play Ottawa. A lot of times, the community from the disc golf community is huge, that they do a lot of volunteer work that cut costs as long as money's available for concrete for tee pads, baskets, all that stuff. So a lot of times, a lot of the guys back in the early 2010s and stuff around there, we would go out and clear stuff by hand and manicure the courses, and then naturally, the foot walking through the pathways cures the course over time as well. And it's low key, a lot of guys will just go out there, and a lot of the disc golfers that I know and golf with, everything, they pick up trash on the way, so it's kept very, very clean. As long as the service department is able to clear the trash bins properly, because I know Ottawa Park for a long time was a problem with that, clearing the trash, because they were overflowing, because how much people would just bring the trash there. So I think it'd be a great opportunity. Sprout told me this last year that he was contacted by, what was his name? Joel, yeah, by Joel. And it's a path, I mean, it's not as big as impact to the, that area as much as you would think. It's just basically just everywhere there's a hole on that pathway, that's pretty much where everyone stays. They go off, they grab their disc, come back, and then it's low maintenance, so I think it'd be great for our city.
Josh, hole 17, any chance of any flooding there?
Well, there's a chance of flooding for every hole. And once again, the little diagram is just to sort of give a visualization. You'd have to go down and sort of lay them out as you go, but that's just to show how you could fit the 18 holes in there. So nothing on there is like actually designed. Anything else?
Between the two prices, you say you have one for 2025, one for 2026.
Mhm.
Are you saying on January 1st, 2026, that price immediately goes up over $1,000?
Well, that, depending on, some of it's just an estimate. We figured like concrete costs and stuff like that. I'm guessing it'd be closer to the 2025 numbers if you do it in January, but you're probably not going to get concrete in January.
Mhm.
So
Nope.
a lot of that cost isn't going to be until you can get in there in the spring. Once again, this is just for the equipment, for the material.
Mm-hmm.
And then talked about with Rick Gray when he sat down to give me the numbers for the cost for like the concrete pads, about the importance of doing like the stone base and the 6-inch concrete, just because that isn't a flood area down there, to try to keep a minimal movement of water and stuff's down there. However, I do think since they put the walking path down there with the culverts underneath, I don't think I've seen water sitting in there as often, but clearly it will still be in there. Well, in the last few months, definitely not.
No, just, it hasn't flooded near much.
And then the baskets are usually removable, so like if ice is gonna come through or floods or stuff like that, they can be taken out.
On the map signs, are there going to be any like QR codes or anything direct into like another like a course map or any way to track where your location
I mean, you
is?
can, the sky's the limit with what you can put on them. Usually it'll give you a little bit of a map of where your tee box is now and where you're throwing to. And then when you get to the basket, there'll be an arrow pointing to the next tee box. And normally they're not that far apart, so it's pretty easy to visualize and usually follow the path.
Okay. I went to the Woodland because I like to play disc golf too, but I've got lost over there.
Yeah.
That app I was talking about called UDisc, you can put a sign by the first tee that has a QR code that will take you to the course map and everything. So when you're on there, it's got the GPS, where you are in relation to the basket, and the next tee would be all at first.
Mhm.
So that's easy to do that.
Okay.
I would say 95% of courses have one of those layout already made and designed. It would be somebody from the community or coming to the city that would create that.
Yeah.
It's all through the UDisc app.
Yeah, I do that with golf. Actually, regular golf. You can go to 5,000 different courses and know exactly where you are and how far away you are from the
Right.
hole.
When it comes to like tournaments, is 18, I know you've kind of touched on it, is 18 holes enough, or you could always, do a combined thing where Woodlands and and here and anywhere else that might have it, you know. Yeah, that'd be great.
So again, my name is Joel Zeroni. I live on Cambridge Park South. And yes, 18 holes is pretty typical for a course. I own Saucy Disc Golf, which is a local shop that we sell online. We also run tournaments. I've been running tournaments since 2022. My first one was at Woodlands. It was just a one-course tournament, 18 holes. But we've expanded to do several different kinds of tournaments where we've had a one-day tournament where it was at 2 different courses. For that, we included Mary Jane Thurston Park down in Grand Rapids and Carter Park in Bowling Green. So half-hour drive almost between those 2 courses for the players in between rounds was kind of a lot. So having some courses closer together, like here in Woodlands, would be cool to be able to do a 2-course tournament like you're suggesting. But yeah, the sky is the limit. We've also, at courses that have 18 holes permanently, we've also had such great interest in tournaments that we've had to add. Our previous tournament that we just had this October, we've added 6 temporary holes to it, where we just brought 6 extra temporary baskets and set them up in other strategic spots on the property to kind of allow the max amount of players in. I think our largest tournament since we started in 2022 was 95 players, but we have anywhere from, you know, some 30 all the way up like so to 95. So it could be anywhere. Any other questions or anything while I'm up here?
Are there any like standards that you have to stick to in order to like make it a disc golf course? Is there
There's not anything specific that's like a standard where you have to do this, but the PDGA, which is the Professional Disc Golf Association, they have on their website like guidelines, like to say what would be like a pro level course versus an amateur level course, or you know a mid level course or something like that. I don't have those statistics or those numbers on me, but I could certainly provide them later on. But yeah, I mean generally, holes in our area are anywhere from 200 feet up to I'd say on average, the longer ones are in between 400 and 500. Maumee Bay State Park just got put in, and there are a few holes there that are over 1,000 feet, and those are like a par 5. So anywhere in that range from 200 up to 1,000 plus is generally the range for length of holes and all that.
What about like layout and design for these 18 holes? Is there, I guess, what does that process look like? And I don't know, Josh, if you've already had that conversation. Is there like, do we have to get any sort of drawings made for this, or is it just sort of a?
It's pretty open to whatever. I mean, the more strategic you are with it, and you know, laying shots out so there's a good variety of ones that hook to the left, ones that hook to the right, so on and so forth, the better. We've got a wealth of talent and knowledge in our area in regards to course design. We've had the gentleman that actually helped put in Maumee Bay State Park. He would be willing to jump in and help if needed. Today I have 2 pro-level disc golfers with me that my business sponsors, including Hayden Carroll, who's the AM World Champion this year. So he's in the building today. He would be more than willing to jump in and help kind of give us some ideas and stuff like that. But really it's all about variety and making sure you're not designing anything that's unsafe, where you're throwing directly over a walking path or something like that. Like that's very, very, very important when you're designing a course, is making sure that stuff's not there. So that's why I like the layout that we do have on the sheet there. Definitely not set in stone whatsoever on where those holes could or should go. But it was just more or less, making a scale of how many feet and then kind of laying it out to show that that property is adequate for a really high level course in our area.
Okay.
Anything else? Sure.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Come on up.
So you can save later for the environmental meeting, you're gonna catch a theme here. So a couple of things I would just ask that we're mindful of. Well, number 15 goes over the grassy path that cuts the space in half. So seemingly that would, I don't know how much people go through, if someone will get hit or not. So that's one thing I just saw off the bat. But another thing I would love for us to be mindful of. So, this is a big space where it's like, oh, no one uses this, but it's really one of the only untouched spaces in Maumee, in my opinion. I don't know what else there is. We talked about Epstein. So there's a lot of wildlife that lives back here too. So like being mindful of like where you put it based on what's already down there and being like the least, I don't want to say disturbing with it. And then also being mindful for, because this area does flood quite a bit. It does less with the path because the low points aren't quite as low. But it will fill up to the towpath and has gone over. But with that comes like kind of natural vernal pools that you're going to get some, I mean, it's some very wet areas, especially in the springtime and the fall time and during winter. So like, it seems to me that, like, I guess my question is there going to be a lot of moving dirt, regrading, or is someone going to be mindful and check out where those low spots are so you're not going through that? Because I think that would be like, you won't want someone walking through like the big area, like right off the grassy path that's always like wet, like by the trees. You know, like just be mindful of like that, which Josh, you and I have talked a little bit about, like,
Mary Jane Thurston is very much, they just pass through there, you get heavy rain, no water,
yeah. So then you just don't play.
you don't play, yeah.
Is it, how wide are the paths when you do mow?
East Harbor is like 10 feet or something like that.
Yeah. And then how high is the grass off the paths? Okay. Well, because it gets, I mean, it gets high enough that the river view is taken away. Like it's, you walk through there, the grass is like, you know, this high.
East Harbor, I mean, you're talking 6, 8 feet.
Yeah. And then you just go creeping through the grass to get your stuff. You, yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Anything else on disc golf? All right. So we should all have the proposed parks projects. If we want to discuss any of them, we have some extra time. Yes, let's do that, sorry. We'll get you back up to the mic.
This is the big Margot. It's been a little over a year ago that I met with Wild Toledo, with Kelsey Moore there, and to come out, so our training center's out at Mingo, it's give or take 30-ish acres. There's a lot of mowing we do out there every year that's expensive, costly, and it's just a hassle. Looking at something we could do that would be beneficial to all of the wildlife, getting a natural prairie in there, and then also there'd be limited maintenance to it as far as mowing, that type of stuff, save money there. So just specifically with that project, she broke it down into, I think, like 5 different areas we could do that would make sense.
I
Or
did,
6.
excuse me, sorry, I did, on the capital plan, I just included D, E, and F, because I think C in particular was where a potential structure might go.
Yep.
And then there's maybe a driveway access issue too.
And then I know we talked about looking at some of the other parks in town where it makes sense. Not everything has to be done in 1 year. From start to finish, as far as getting it, the site worked and planned is going to be probably 8 to 9 months, because they have to go in and then kill the current vegetation, and that takes some time, and go through and plan it. So this would be the proposal I have, and she's going to give me an updated quote. I did correspond with her today to see how much it went up. She felt that the largest increase would be in materials, but she still doesn't think that would be much. But at least gives you an idea what the cost would be, the locations we picked out, but then I know we also talked about some other parks around where you could potentially do sections of it and put the prairies in. I mean, there's probably a lot more areas we can even look at to see where it makes sense. But any sort of general questions on it. I'm sure Margot wants to get up and tell us more about it. You're much more knowledgeable on that side of it. That's your-
Is this a type of project that the city could do on its own in the future? Or is it just easier to let the, the people who do it all the time do it?
So I think, Josh and I have talked about this a couple of times. I think it would be better to have them start it, but then it becomes a maintenance thing.
Right.
Like there's, like it's sequenced out to where, you could do it, I guess, in-house. But after everything is established, then it becomes the city's responsibility to keep it maintained. And that would obviously have some sort of cost to it. I don't know what it would be, but they have like a couple different packages for annual management in here. I mean, that's something that we could discuss, see if it's something that our service guys could handle. But I don't know that any of them have the ability to do the initial startup of it.
Sure.
And also that annual maintenance in the first 3 to 5 years is important because they come out and do all the spot checking for certain weeds and,
Right.
and I'm not that our staff couldn't be trained in, identifying different types of plants and weeds and all of that, but they already have that knowledge. Once it gets fully established, the maintenance is probably a little bit less, but it's actually getting everything to take and keeping all of the other weeds and stuff from coming in. Yeah. I think she said
Takes care of itself.
like up to 5 years, they felt like before it's fully established or something.
Yeah, I mean, she knows better than me. My first thought was at least like 2 to 3 solid. They
Mhm.
should do like some sort of maintenance plan. But then like the maintenance after that, once it's established, it's like mowing it every year. And you only do that to prevent shrubs and trees to grow, because when you just let it go, the whole process is affected.
Mhm.
It's like the prairie and the road shrubs and the trees.
Nothing else? I can sit down again?
I don't think so. Yep.
That solves the personal day sometimes. I have a question. Would we ever be okay with like trees going in there? Like turning it to prairie and then letting it go to its natural course for like discovery uses? Because they'll just have it on its own.
Depending on the area, it's
Yeah.
probably okay most of the areas.
Yeah. So it's something to consider, I think. You don't have to mow it twice a year. They do that to make sure trees and stuff don't. Yeah, and that's another level of noise. Privacy and wildlife.
So this is just for DEF and on the map then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Mhm.
Which is that the back or the front? That's the back, right? And then the long area.
Yeah,
I'm a little discombobulated with the picture, but,
So along A is Mingo Drive.
okay, A is Mingo, and then that's the service drive back into the, okay, I gotcha.
in the A-B area, there's conversation maybe about another driveway or like a sludge pit. And then C, there's conversation about a building there, so that's why I left them off. And then to put it in perspective too, this year we spent year-to-date 20,000 to mow Mingo, an outside firm, and then you'll see Monclova is also one of the parks mentioned. We spent about 7,000 to mow that park. Obviously, it wouldn't be changed over entirely to prairie, but.
Anything else on Mingo? No? All right, so now we'll move on to general budget discussion. Does anyone have anything they want to talk about? Start with you if you have anything, Jennifer.
I was just hoping for some discussion about the priorities as it's listed now, if the committee wants to move forward with projects listed right now, if they want to push it later, to discuss later. Epstein's on here. There's some Ford Field items on here. They're, finishing up kind of like what we've started over there as far as the garage and benches, that sort of thing. One thing that might need to be discussed is the lighting on the fields. I don't know if that's something that the committee is interested in pursuing. And part of this too is I don't want to waste staff time getting a good estimate if it's something that committee wants to push to later years. Next thing is Fairfield. We replaced 2 sets of dugouts, so it's proposed to finish the other sets of dugouts in '26. Epstein's here. Rolfe Park, there's a lot at Rolfe Park too. Fencing, I feel like that's been pushed a few times already. I think marketplace sign, that's probably imperative that stays in '26 to put a sign out there that the city owns that parking lot for additional parking over there.
Yeah, I know the soccer group has asked for that. They wanted it last year. We couldn't make it happen. So I think getting that sign up this year so people know there is a lot there for not only soccer, but also it's even closer for the softball field. So
Yeah.
especially on tournament Saturdays when there is 0 parking available, the folks on Thackeray, I'm sure, would appreciate that.
Yeah, we've talked about making it more obvious that that parking lot belongs to the city. I know I met with the Rolfe Park manager just last week, actually, and he's been really good about letting the softball tournament people know that that parking lot is over there. But I think it would be a good idea to put some sort of signage on the Rolfe Park side also, just
Yeah.
letting people know that the overflow parking lot is back there. I think a lot of people are catching on to it, but the people that come from out of town for all the tournaments, it's not clearly marked that that's what it's for. So, yeah, I think getting a sign on the front along Marketplace would be a really good priority going into next season.
Yeah, and the sign that's currently at Rolfe Park is in bad shape, so I don't know if, and I think the one side, if you're coming from Toledo, I don't even know if you can see it because of the vegetation, the various, I can't remember now. I think sometimes it is covered by shrubs when they're not trimmed back, but that may be something in the future for us to look at, a new sign there.
But some of it just got mowed down. Like that one embankment all up past got mowed off.
Then maybe you can see it now. I'll have to come back that way.
Saying, I don't know if the shrubs are there anymore.
All the Epstein Park improvements, those come out of the TIF, correct? So that's
They will, yes.
one of the few things we can use the TIF money on, so. The Ford Field lights, are we talking about adding lights in the back or replacing the existing ones?
I understood it to be adding lights. That was a conversation
Okay.
a while ago. So again, I don't know if that's something that the committee wants to pursue or not.
I'm sure that Little League would love that because they can extend their schedule. And I know it's not up this year, but over at Rolfe, there is a discussion about at some point doing lighting on one field there, which, again, I'm sure the soccer teams would like because then they can play more games, later games, squeeze more in practice, yes. I'm fine with leaving Ford Field lights there.
Okay.
And then obviously finishing all the other things, adding the benches in the park area, the new garage is being built. I assume spring now.
Yes.
Most likely, yep.
Board.
Thought about if we're contemplating doing that, you know, putting some sort of like, you know, like I think Library Park might have it, you can press a button and they say that those things turn on for so long, and putting something like that on the back of the basketball court we just put on there.
For Ford Field?
Yeah, like the temporary kind of, you press it and it stays on for so long, kind of like, not like a big light, but just some sort of light.
I was gonna say, it wouldn't be the field lights. No.
Yeah.
No, but I was just thinking electricity,
Right.
not field lights.
Probably be a discussion to have when you do the field lights, because you're already going to be.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But yeah, I think the library ones, they've got the button and,
Yeah.
but they deactivate it at 10, 11 or whatever, so that it's not disturbing the neighbors. It would be something like that. And then, speaking of lights, I'm going to bounce over to Anderson Park. I lost my place. Oh, it's at the top.
Top one, yeah.
It's not on any year, but it is there as a placeholder. It'd be a discussion that we'd probably want to have with neighbors about pickleball lighting. You could do it low enough that it wouldn't disrupt anyone, but again, it would allow people to use pickleball later into the evening.
That's okay to keep it 27 right now, you think?
Yeah, I don't see why not, yeah.
Just keep in mind that our current ordinance says that the park prohibits us.
Right.
That's what Chelsea just
Yeah. So Little League technically is breaking the rules, right? If they're in a park after dark.
Oh my, soccer, they literally shine the headlights so you can see the lights are.
Obviously, there's a lot of pool stuff on the separate sheet there.
Yeah, so that's really a lot of maintenance upkeep items that
Mhm.
have just been neglected over the years. I asked Jim Heckman, who's had a lot of experience with that pool, to kind of help me create that list and get all those prices. It's not really anything new. It's just replacing things that have been in disrepair for quite some time. So that's the majority of what that list is.
Right.
Can we talk about the slides? Because there's been conversation about the two slides. Obviously, they're both on the maintenance list at like, what, 45, 50,000 each.
Right.
Does it make sense to continue to maintain it? And then the size of the slides require staffing at like the top and the bottom. I mean, I think that's worth a further discussion on that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that should be discussed. I don't know how much use the slides get, but I know it's just obviously
Yeah.
there's a lot of money to be spent at that park.
Yeah, like
How much
that's
do we want to keep
like
upkeeping?
yeah, that's like the slides are great, but they have made that pool essentially, I don't want to say non-usable, but the staffing that's required, is it 3 just to have the slides, the top, the bottom?
Top, bottom, and in water?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Well, that's just for one area.
Right. But and which also makes because we've had the discussion about, renting the pool out again, and the staffing alone makes it almost impossible for anyone to cover that cost. I'm not suggesting like that's a discussion for later is not repairing the slides and getting rid of them, but it would also free up a lot of funds and availability to that. But also I think the slides are a big draw to it. So it's
Right.
which way do you go?
Could you replace it with like a smaller slide or something else that doesn't require so much staff? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's the answer is, when it comes time to have to repair those, see what it can be replaced with that is still an attraction that isn't, taking all of the fun out of the pool.
I feel like attendance numbers don't even justify the use of what's there. It technically should be classified as a water park based on the amount of amenities that are there.
Does anyone have anything else they want to discuss on the list there?
Margot wants to talk about the compost bin. It's on there. Yeah.
It's actually in your backyard, by the way.
I have one back there. So, yeah, pass them like, do you want me to say something?
Come on back up, yeah. You haven't talked enough.
It's compost slash food waste.
Margot, you should have just sat at your seat. It would have made it much easier.
So compost bin, I talked to BG years ago, and they've been doing this for a while with Go Zero. The city built a pad, Go Zero are the people that come pick it up. The city initially bought like 150 buckets with lids, gave them out to residents, huge success. A lot of people came and used it. I remember talking to, I think it was Amanda, she's like, the type of people that came and wanted to use it, they were pleasantly surprised it wasn't necessarily the type of people they thought would come. She's like, suburban moms with their big SUVs, I think they expected more like, kind of like you're driving your Prius up. And so the big thing for them is all sorts of people wanted to use it, not just a certain subgroup of people that I think a lot of people automatically think of. Then obviously since then, Toledo's done an amazing thing, partnership with the Metro Parks, and has provided, compost pickup at park locations. Well, they have like 5. I mean, there are quite a few, 4 or 5, stuff like that. 3? Started with 3. So it's like Glass City is 1, Swan Creek, Botanical Gardens. So theirs has been very successful. They've been very pleased with it. And then now, was it last year, I think, Perrysburg started it, so they're doing the same thing. So we talked with the Metro Parks and Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful and kind of all the key people. And they were really excited about the idea of whether Maumee could have a location at Sidecut Park. So they have a spot all picked out. They would be game for. It's like the initial cost. I can't remember. Do you have that up, Jennifer?
I do. So Metro Parks would donate the not donate, but let us use the property, and then
The city would pay for it, yeah.
And then we would just do the fencing, which is about $3,000.
This round.
Yeah.
So very small startup costs, especially considering, our recycling trash we pay per year is $800,000 to $900,000 just for that. So it's like, a couple $1,000 startup. They even have all the signs created. The only thing they would do is swap out City of Toledo for City of Maumee. They're cool with that. We've got a quote from like Fast Signs. They did it, Jenna, like over in Maumee. And the yearly cost. So when Go Zero does this, it's usually, they call it like a pilot period. We looked into it too for like the Maumee City Schools at one point. This was before COVID. But so they do like a pilot program. So you essentially don't get docked if, say, you have too many bins and what you need. They kind of adjust here and there to see what your need is. But the quote for that, like Adam Cassie from Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful, he said it would likely be, I think, based on like Toledo's usage. I think he said 6 bins. That's in some of the emails too. But anyways, the yearly cost is about just under $13,000. So I think it was like 12,000 something. And then, our kind of thought was too, it would be nice to do something like what BG did and just at least start out like handing out some buckets with lids, because people can use whatever they want. It just depends how long they want to keep it at their house before they then take it to the bins. We thought it would be nice to do buckets with lids, kind of just get people started. They can all get their own if they want. But Nancy and I even talked about, like, maybe Kristen from the chamber would be interested in seeing if a business might like to, buy some buckets, put their name on it. A food slap bucket sponsorship to then like take your compost to the bins. And in talking with Toledo and BG, I've not talked with anyone over at Perrysburg about it, but they don't have issues with pests. My thing, a lot of people will bring up like rats in Maumee in particular. We have a rat problem. But to be honest, having food waste in everyone's individual waste bins at their house is going to attract pests and rodents. So if you don't put food waste in your bins, you're less likely to get that kind of nuisance around your house. I know for me, like seemingly stupid, like first world problem, like solving, is not putting food waste in your trash can makes your trash can not smell. And Go Zero can take anything. So backyard compost, lots of time, they want you to keep it to like, plant type items, fruits and vegetables. Just because of pests and rodents, you can totally put in bones, you can put in meat, you can put in cheese, dairy, all that. You can put it out there, it all biodegrades. But usually don't like to because of pests. Go Zero takes all of that. They're industrial composter. So, when you go to the businesses that are trying to do the right thing and they have the compostable silverware and things like that, you actually have a place to put that. Because, like, for me, I'm like, oh, compostable, even like the packaging, compostable packaging. It's not backyard compostable, it's industrial compostable. So a lot of the compostable items you buy aren't necessarily things you can just put in the backyard. But with Go Zero, you can. It's an industrial compostable facility. So anything like that can be broke down. Nancy had asked before, there's some like small mom and pops composting companies that will like offer you to get the compost back, so like the fresh dirt, like fertile dirt. That is not something that Go Zero does. But yeah, I think it would be pretty simple because it's something that a lot of people in the area have already done. They're already coming up this way. And it kind of started around Cincinnati, and they're doing a lot in like Columbus area too. And there's a lot of other municipalities that do this. And if you think about it, it's how recycling started and how they still do it at Monclova. You have a central drop-off location that you can just go take your food waste to. So I think that is it.
Could have gone
Thanks.
5 more minutes and it would have rolled right into your environmental
Oops.
meeting.
I need time to prepare.
Well, but thank you for that. Is there anything else?
Yes.
Okay.
The towpath gazebo, that's been designed, preliminarily designed. I think the recommendation right now is to push it to 26 and maybe scale that back a little bit. Obviously, the concern down there is the flooding, but I just want to make sure the committee was okay with pushing that to 27 with everything else, with all the other priorities that we have, right, in 26. That sound good? Yes. Along with, we discussed lighting, but again, as Chief Sproul mentioned, the desk rule. So perhaps we could look at some solar lights just for, from a safety perspective and ambiance, especially if we consider the disc golf area. And then also, I'm obsessed with wayfinding signs, so I would love to see a wayfinding sign down at the river at some point to talk about, this way to Audubon Island and this way to disc golf and the gazebo and the Metro Parks in 27 as well.
Okay, sounds great. If there is nothing else, I will, make a motion to adjourn there?
We'll move to adjourn.
Second?
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
How'd you forget?
You stay for the next one too? You stay for the next one too?
What's the thing?
Environmental. Me,